Okay, great. Thanks everybody for coming. I appreciate it. And as I said, we're going to be able to use this, hopefully, this space more often for fun events. I titled this class "Perspective is Reality" because, through one, I think that's true, and two, if you guys remember, there was the magazine Rolling Stone magazine. So a long time ago, they had this ad. They wanted to prove to their advertisers that their readership was very educated and wealthy. So, but Rolling Stone magazine conjures up the idea of the 1960s and Woodstock. So they said perspective, a VW bug, and reality was a Volvo. Or perspective was camping out in Woodstock, and reality was a hotel in Paris. That was like a very cool ad. So I was thinking perspective is reality, and because I think many times, our own perspective makes up our own reality. When it changes, it changes like this. So that's what I want to talk about today. And we're going to go through some Jewish foods. I like talking about Jewish food a lot. Go back to Passover, through the Jewish foods there, through the walking in the desert, the mun, and a good story at the end, and talk about how we make our own reality through our own perspectives. Now, these weeks between Passover and Shavuos, we learn something every Sunday, every Shabbos, called Pirkei Avos, Ethics of Our Fathers. And it's fun to read. I went with my kids on Shabbos afternoon. It's very enjoyable. And so, but it's all how you say it. So there's one, like a famous one, it goes like this. It says that the way to grow in Torah is this. You should minimize your, eat a little bit, and drink just a little bit, and sleep a little bit. And the material things you should minimize, and the spiritual things you should maximize, right? So minimize that, but that's one way to read it. And then another great rabbi, actually, is Rav Chaim Kanevsky. He's a big tzaddik in Yerushalayim, B'nai Brak. He says, no, that's not how you read it. You read it like this. You want to grow spiritually? He says, eat a little, drink a little, sleep a little. Come on, eat a little bit. Have some food to eat. Have something, sit down, eat a little. That's where the geschmack comes from. So it all depends on your emphasis, right? Whatever you emphasize, that's the most important thing. So it's what you emphasize that matters. So if we go back to Passover, I want to talk about matzah. Matzah and chametz. Now, what is going on? We eat this matzah. Why do we eat matzah? It says this. It says in the Magid section of the Haggadah that we lift up our hands, we hold a piece of matzah. We say matzah zu, this matzah we eat al shumah. What's the reason? Shum shlo hispik b'teken sha'avusenu. The hachmitz. That we didn't have time for the bread to rise. We had to get out of Egypt very, very quickly. There was only a short window of opening until Pharaoh was going to close the window, and we had to get out fast. And since we had to get out fast, there was no time for the matzah to rise. Now, so it had to be done very, very quickly. Now, it doesn't make sense because what really happened was this. There's the 10 plagues. The 10th plague, the 10th makkah, Pharaoh's firstborn is killed, along with everyone else's firstborn in the entire country. Pharaoh goes berserk. Then he runs around the middle of the night trying to find Moshe. And the Medrash says he's running in all through Goshen, through the Jewish land, and the little kids are telling him, go here and go there. He's at the end of his, can't think straight. And finally finds Moshe. He says, get out, leave. Leave right now. And what does Moshe say to him? He doesn't say, no, we're not going to leave. He says, wait a second. We're going to go. We're not going to go like thieves tonight. We're going to go in the morning. In the morning time, he says, we're going to go. So, what was such a rush from the middle of the night to the morning is at least 5 hours, right? 6 hours, right? And you got to realize what time the Jews leaving. There's all different types of Jews, right? The German Jews, the Eki Jews, they leave 5:30 a.m., right? The kids are polished, there's 3 students, the Audi is ready, the Autobahn is awaiting them. 5:30 a.m., their German Jews are out, right? Litvish Jews, 7 o'clock, 7:30, you daven, you have a bagel, you go, fine. The Hasidic Jews, 12 o'clock, they get back from Minyan. They have a proper Suda, they have a meal, 2 o'clock. Pharaoh, you're going to tell me when I'm going to leave Egypt? Forget it. They're double parked all over the place. They don't leave till 5 o'clock in the day. They're leaving all day long. What are they talking about that has to happen? So what was so quick? And more so, have you ever gone to these, we went to a Pesach hotel. Have you ever gone anywhere, when we go somewhere on a trip, right? Have you ever seen a Jewish woman, a Jewish mother, not bake food at least 2 weeks before a major trip, right? Because God forbid you go 2 hours without food. It doesn't happen, right? So, if you go to Lakewood on Passover, so right by the Lakewood is Great Adventure. It's, right there. So Great Adventure has a Jewish day, a Passover day. Now, the kids live in Lakewood, it's 5 minutes away. You go to Lakewood, they have matzo brie up to their noses at 9 a.m., right? Park opens at 10, they get there at 10. The mothers come in, there's coolers full of tuna fish, egg salad, cucumbers, tomatoes, the whole thing. It makes no sense that they forgot, we were planning to leave Egypt for 210 years. And it says at the Seder night, here's what the Torah says, the men sat you had to eat the Passover offering, the Paschal offering, with your belt girded, with your staff in your hand. We knew the redemption was coming. And the women are sitting there, and they're like, oh yeah, right, the food. We forgot the food. And she calls her friend, can I borrow bread from you? Oh, you also forgot the food? The whole entire country forgot the food? So it must be God put in their minds, for some reason, that they forgot about the matzah until the last minute. So why did they do that? Right? Why? Why? Of all things God had to do at the last minute, it's such an unusual thing to happen, right? And also, why the war against chametz? Right? If it's just a technical issue, they forgot about the food. In my house, we have a third floor. You're all welcome to come for Shabbos, by the way. We have a very nice third floor, good accommodations. Please come for Shabbos. Good old announcement, a little commercial right there. And but we have a note on the third floor door: no food allowed, the entire year. Right? You're not allowed to have one apple upstairs on the third floor, because if you bring an apple, the next week it's a 7-layer cake, right? And then who knows? In the corner goes the matzah. She can't find it. Come the mice. The whole thing's next to no chametz. Why is that? Because one time we forgot about thinking about food, and God's like, I'll show you. You'll think about chametz the entire year for the next 3,000 years. What's going on here? What does matzah really represent? What does matzah really represent? So, to back to the question, it says matzah zu shana oichlim. Why are we eating it? It's not that matzah was matzah was an accidental thing that happened that couldn't rise. Matzah has a real purpose. In matzah's skinny little body, there's a deep message. So what's the message of the matzah? And why did God want us to leave so quickly? Right? Wait 2 weeks. The prices of Passover are expensive, right? Go in 2 weeks later. It's much cheaper. They'll tell you, wait 2 weeks later. Why am I doing now? Wait, what's going on? What's so expensive? Why is it so? What was the haste? So I'm going to tell you a story, and I have 2 points. I'm going to tell you a story. Make 2 points. So I work at Merrill Lynch, and there's a guy in my office next to me, and his name is Callahan. And Callahan is a stockbroker like me. He took over his father's business maybe 40 years ago. Now, Callahan knew when he was a young boy he was taking over his father's business. How do you know that? Because most kids, when they get a snuggly when they're born, the snuggly says Snoopy. Right now, his snuggly had a bull, like Merrill Lynch. He was bathed in Merrill Lynch blood when he was a little kid. When he was 3, he got a bat and a ball. The bat, ball's him, the bull, there it is, Merrill Lynch, and the bat, a blue bat, right? When he was 10, his father put a fake office in the desk in his office. They could talk on the phone. He calls, client, hi, it's, Maddie, hi. The kid knew his entire life he was coming to work at Merrill Lynch. He went to a proper college, he, interned in the summer, took a year traveling the world, 23 years old, comes to work in the corner office with his father. It was his father was crying, you're finally here, it was great. The only problem was, Matt's father, Callahan Sr., was the most mercurial, still is probably, the most mercurial person ever, controlling. If Matt wanted to put a presentation together and put his bio in the front or bio in the back, his father said to him, no, the bio goes in the front. It's about relationships. Redo it, put your bio in the front. He was if you wanted to, when you bind these documents, if there's that heat binding where you can fold the pages over very nicely, his father hated the heat binding. He wanted the spiral binding, right? The spiral binding. And he put the spiral binding. And lo and behold, if you forgot to put page numbers in the presentation, that was it was over. So every day after the morning meeting, we would hear out of the office fireworks, things going on. Our manager would close the door, shh, they're family, don't bother them, And it's going for 2 years, it's going on. And they're still, no one's killed each other. There was no ambulance called, but they're going berserk. And Matt is, he's getting red. Irish guys are red anyway. He's getting even redder, and he, he says, "I have a nose, big nose. It's fine. We go on." And but then all of a sudden, 6 months later, Matt gets married, and 2 months after the marriage, the fighting stops. Just stops. It's quiet in the office. We're walking by the room again. We're waving hello. The door is open. No one's scared. So finally, I called my office. I'm like, what happened over there? What do you find religion? Like, what happened? So Kurt, let me tell you. I got married, and my wife said to me, Matt, you have a choice. You can accept your father for who he is. Take this wonderful business he's given you. Change your entire perspective about you being in control, him being in control. Just accept it. Or you can leave the business. But you can't go to war with your father every day for the next 30 years of your life. You can't do that. He's your father, and we love him, and you can't do it. It's that way. And she told me that. And in like one instant, I said, she's right. So now my father tells me to dance on my head in front of the clients. I dance on my head. He wants me to, put white golf balls on top of the presentation and write the name Callahan in blue. I do it. I don't care. He's giving me the business. I'll do whatever he wants. So occasionally, do I drive out of the office 10 o'clock, go to the parking lot and scream? Yeah, I do occasionally. But he said, it's a very small price to pay to take over a great business. It's my father. So he said, Kurt, he said to me, as soon as your perspective changes, you have to change your reality instantly. You can't wait on that. Because my wife was right, and that's it. I changed it instantly. So I said, and that's how your perspective changes. It doesn't take time. A switch goes off, and it changes. So that's what God was telling us when we left Egypt. He says, the perspective has to go from being a slave nation to being a free nation. And that happens like this. And when it does happen, the matzah reminds you. Ever go to a matzah factory, matzah baking factory? You go to a matzah baking factory. Here's how it works. There's when you go to a kitchen, above there's a counter and a thing like this, like a pass through from a kitchen to a dining room. So there's a pass through, and it opens like that, and the guy all covered in white, like a big towel and a big apron. He has one thing of water and one thing of flour, and he pours it in a big bowl, and the clock starts ticking 18 minutes. And I've done this. You got to knead the dough first. You got to knead, and you got to roll it out. Then you have that cool machine that makes those little prickly things in it. That cool thing that something machine. It's like a prickle maker. You make a prickle maker like that, right? And then the guy from Israel. The guys are all from Israel. They're mean. The cooks are all from Israel. They work 12 hours a day. They're mean. He takes this stick. He hangs the dough, which is now a round circle on the stick. He puts it in the oven. The guy's in front of a 4,000 degree oven for 9 hours. You would also be an unhappy person like that way all day long. And the matzah cooks in 12 seconds, right? It's always done by 18 minutes. It's 12 minutes, 13 minutes. It's done, right? But it goes fast. So matzah is telling you that if you want to do something, you want to make a change, you have to make that change immediately. When your perspective changes, you make that change immediately. And that's what God wanted to inculcate in us, that we were now free. If you're being a slave for 210 years, if you want to be free, you have to act free immediately. You can't take your time. You have to make changes rapidly in life. You don't achieve things without making changes rapidly. So that's what matzah stands for. And the second thing is this: God said to them, He said, "We're going to leave be'etzem hayom hazeh, in the middle of the day." So why does God care about daylight versus nighttime? It has to be so fast. Let them leave at nighttime. Why do they care so much in the daytime? So the other time we see the word be'etzem hayom hazeh is by Noah, and when he made the ark. When he makes the ark, right, it takes him a long time to make the ark, hundreds of years, and he's about to go in. No one believes the flood's going to come. They hear Noah, they say you're crazy. There's no flood coming. All of a sudden it starts to rain, and then it starts to rain really hard, and he's going in, and people want to kill him and stop him from going in. So what God did, sets up a ramp, and the animals, the tigers and the lions, are facing out, and the bears, and no one can get near Noah because he walked in the table.
Isn't that just in the movie, or that happened in the Torah?
The Medrash says, the Medrash says that's what happened.
Okay.
I didn't see one. I should go see the movie probably. Whenever I see these movies, I'm like, oh, they got that from there, they got that from there. Like the Indiana Jones movie where there was the lightning that goes up and burns them from the inside out. That's also like the Medrash. So it was like that, there's also a lot of stuff there. I always think the writers all went to yeshiva somewhere. Like all these they spent a couple years in yeshiva because they bring in very cool stuff. Like it's not nothing. They bring in real stuff. So Noah did that, and God says, that's when God says, I'm not afraid of anybody. I'm not afraid of anyone. Noah, I'm making a flood come. I'm unhappy with the world. Don't be afraid. Walk in front of all these people. No one's going to hurt you. And He's telling us too, as Jews, on Seder night, right? And when we leave Egypt, we're free now. Don't be embarrassed. Be totally proud, right? You're a free nation now. Don't go like thieves in the night. You're free. Hold your head high. And it's just too, when you make a change in life, right? You gotta be, right? You gotta be proud of it. You have to. I remember they said that the Rabbi Dessler, so he was one of the main Torah teachers in the past 100 years. So once he wanted to stop smoking, people smoked a lot back then. He wanted to stop smoking. So what did he do? He told all the students in the yeshiva that he was stopping smoking. Why? To use the power, of embarrassment. That now, if he wasn't going to stop smoking, no one cares. But if our great leader is telling us publicly he's trying to do something with himself, we're going to hold him to it. So he told me he uses whatever techniques he has to make himself do that. And that's very important when you take on a new something or other, whatever it is, a new diet, a new exercise, a new relationship. You're going to call somebody, whatever it is that you make that public. It makes it much, much stronger. The change is real when it's public. Right? That's when you by yourself, okay, but if people see it, it makes you more real. We live in a world where we care a lot what other people think. And that's an important, the social environment is so important. I think it's the second thing is to make it public, to make it real. Now, so that's good. So I was telling my children, whenever I speak with my father, he's going to listen to this one. He's going to say, Kurt, you spoke too quickly. If I speak too fast, he'll tell me to slow down. He's going to go, Kurt, it's been 46 years, you're still speaking too fast. You know what I mean? So I'm going to get that. I'm going to say, and so that's great. That's Egypt. What does it have to do with us today? Right? What does it have to do with us today? So Chaim Friedlander, who's a great rabbi, a contemporary of Rabbi Dessler, he said this. It says in the Mechilta, like the Medrash, it says, Al tibrei u'shmartem es ha'matzos, el u'shmartem es ha'mitzvos. There's a mitzvah to guard the matzahs. What does that mean? Like, colloquially it means you get the wheat, and they cut the wheat, and they keep it in a dry place so no water ever touches the wheat. And then before it's time to make the matzah, they grind the wheat up into grain, and they guard the grain very carefully. No one should ever, no water should near the grain. And then when you make the matzah, of course, in this matzah factory, you can't walk in there with, you got to put your card in, your iris, they give you the thumb check, it's very, 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 very top secret. And they, and you have to watch the matzah so it doesn't get leavened. So you see with mitzvahs too, anytime a mitzvah comes to you, you should grab it right away. Leaven represents laziness. It represents, I'll do it tomorrow. That's not so important. Okay, you know what I'm saying? But matzah represents do it now. Doing something now. And that's when something comes your way, it gives you something you plan, so that comes in front of you. You want to do it right now. I always said I think it was Mark Twain that said, if you look in your life, in 20 years from now, you're going to regret much more what you didn't do than what you did do. You always regret what you didn't do. You want to start doing something, start doing it now. Something I was talking in the past couple of classes, I've spoken about my Aunt Helen a lot. So my Aunt Helen, thank God, is 98 years old. And about 2-3 years ago, I made a promise to myself that I would try very hard to call her every week. And to think back until like a month ago, she said to me, it must be Friday because Kurt's calling again, And she actually, we started talking about Shabbos, and she lit the candles sometimes. And they weren't religious, but I would call, so she would light the candles, we would schmooze a bit. And I always liked about her, she always told me I was the favorite grandson. So that was my reason for calling her. I tell my cousins, she says that they always liked me better. My great-parents passed away, but she knew that they liked me the best. So I called my cousins and say, it really was true, they did like me the best. So they were like, you're still talking about this, you're 46, grow up. But for me, it massaged my weak ego. And, but just last week, my Aunt Helen fell. And she's 98. And when you fall at 98, her leg just gave out. She wasn't in New York. She was in Florida. And she fell. And now she's in a nursing home. She's very sedated. And with God's help, she'll be okay. But at 98, it's almost funny. What do you wish for at 98? That she should stay in pain? It's such a conflicted feeling you have because when someone's little, you say, "Refuah shleima," they should get better. When a person is 98, I'm saying, does she really want to go through this and get a lot better? I don't know. She always tells me, she would joke with me, she says, I'm going to see my sister soon, she would tell me. I'm like, Aunt Helen, you can't say that. But at 9, I understand where she's coming from. Who wants to be in pain? It's not, okay, that 98 years is a pretty good run. So I'm happy I'm very proud to remember, but I'm happy that I took the moment and called her every week for the past whatever it was, because I think, I definitely enjoyed it, It's my therapy. And two, I think she enjoyed it too. She enjoyed getting a call. Every week there was, so I could have let that go by, and I would have regretted it now if I hadn't done that. I still feel bad that I'm going to go to Syracuse with God's help in Stuart, Florida soon. But those are the things, if you have someone you want to call, you should call them now. Like, call them, We wouldn't come to us for Passover recently, like last year. And everyone's very busy when you're from, because you got a lot of children, and the kid, they keep you busy, it's like, and for women, it's like hard to make time. But so I said you should call your relatives. So she says, Kurt, because of you now, she's got a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. She calls one relative, I'm sure it's more than that, but she got a schedule. Monday you call Bubby and Zadie. Tuesday you call cousin Sue. Whatever it was, but she said, she's doing it, and it makes the relationship better. And at least she knows that she can talk to them for, 20 minutes or 2 minutes, but 50 times a year, whatever it is. So I think those are the things you want to grab, right? You want to grab. I started in the morning to tell myself after davening, I'm going to sit down for 30 minutes and study Torah for 30 minutes after davening. If I go home, I get help with the kids anyway, so why should I go home? See, if I stay, I'll study. But at least that way, I'll get that 30 minutes in. Right? There's something to do. Find 30 minutes and do something productive with it. That's the grab a mitzvah. So I'm going to tell you one of my favorite stories about grabbing a mitzvah. And this is a great story because it's like two old people, and you think oh, what's this story? It's a beautiful story, but when it happened, it wasn't a beautiful story. It wasn't a big deal. Only when it got out, it's like a beautiful story. So there was two men in a nursing home, and I think it was in Queens. Now I know how nursing homes work because of my Aunt Helen, but the way it works is this: if you're on an insurance policy, you get a set, not a private room. My Aunt Helen, unfortunately, is not a private room. She's with someone else, which is hard at 98. But if you have a little bit of money, not a lot, you get if you have a lot, you stay at home. But if you have a little bit of money, you get a little private room. So this nursing home, a guy named Sam had his own room, and a fellow named Nady needed space, and some months the nursing homes get kind of full. And so they asked Sam, do you mind for a week or two if we put him in your room? The joke with these homes is they never stay full so long, so a week or two, probably someone's going to pass away, move somewhere else. That's the humor. So he said, fine. So this guy Nady goes in the room. The next morning, Sam wakes up. Nady is like Mr. Congeniality, right? He wakes up in the morning, sees a man in the bed. Hey, how are you? What's your name? I'm in your roommate. How you doing over there? Things are good? I'm great. How you doing? The guy's like, oh my goodness. Who did they put on this bed next to me? And he's like, hey, pops out of bed. Hey, my name's Nady. How are you? He's like, my name's Sam. Sam, nice to meet you, Nady. Stop being so cheerful. Who are you? Can't you see I'm blind? I'm blind. I can't see. Why are you being so cheerful? I'm blind. Why are you being so cheerful? Stop. Okay? Even Nady's goes back to his bed. Fine. Next morning, goes a little softer. Hey, I'm Nady. He says, happens to be Nady. You can't see me, but my legs below my knees are missing because I had an operation many, many years ago. I think diabetes or something, and I'm in a wheelchair. So that softened up Sam because, softened up. So they get to talking, and they got to be. So he says, oh, let me tell you what it's like outside. And he tells him, there's a window out the window. He tells him, it's the park's there. Maybe it was May. The first time the trees are shaking. It's like nice green summertime, and there's a mother taking her kid to school in the park, and that was really nice. So they talk a little bit, taking it slowly, and the next morning again. Nady gets up and he tells Sam, that was like the routine, from 7 to 9 until I guess they serve the waffles there, He would tell him, what's going on outside because Sam couldn't see. So Nady would tell him. 7 o'clock, the delivery trucks are coming, and it's this is when they're newspaper men. They're the newspaper guy before they were the iPhone app, you actually get a newspaper. And it was all on the honor system. I was amazed, put a quarter in. You take 10 newspapers out. No one did. Everyone put one quarter, took out one newspaper. I was thinking, who started the whole thing? You take 10 papers out with one quarter. Why I remember being amazed. Why is my father taking 10 newspapers out? You know what I mean? And that's what, So he would tell the newspaper men are coming. And then a little later on, he would say, then the men are going to work today. And the rain, he would say, it's raining out. Remember, you should go to work. The guy's getting drenched in his trench coat there. Ha, 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 we're better off than he is. And he would talk about the change of the seasons, how the tree was changing color. It was orange and green. And, so you have these parks, you have a schedule, right? So the morning, the worker men, or the delivery guys, and then the men go to work, then the kids go to school, then the women walk, then the older people walk. It was if you watch, I guess if you watch one day the park, you'd see an age-appropriate kind of schedule, is my guess, right? You see see that. So Nady described this to Sam. That was like their routine. And Lucien stand up a lot. He really liked that. And they got to be very, very close friends. And they had another game they would play, is Nady had a wheelchair. And he could wheel himself, but he liked to have Sam, who was blind, wheel him. He has to do, right? So they would go down the halls of the nursing home, he'd be like, faster, faster, right? Like, make a left, make it to what? Like the nurse's station, right? And they were already 90, so who's going to yell when they're 90-some years old, you know what I mean? So they're going down there, and they'd be like, put out your hand, and like one of those tubes would pop out of the wall or something like that, or they were tearing the place up. People, they loved it, and for the most part, they were well behaved, but who cares? They're only not going to tell them, you're a bad boy, they're paying, so they can't do that. And they would also, Nady would have Sam serve the food in the assembly line. Like, so if you go to like a cafeteria style food, and like behind it, there's like scoopers and stuff like that. So they would, you'd have a scoop here. He would say, okay, Sammy, let's try it again. The mashed potatoes are 3 o'clock, 2 rows up. And he's good, okay, good. And he would say, and the string beans are at, I'm thinking, let's say, are at 8 o'clock, 1 row up. And he's going over here. And he goes, okay, now dump them at high noon. So people loved it. It was a little bit of levity in the place. You know what I'm saying? So they were great friends. They had a great time. And that was the routine. In the morning, Nady would tell Sam, what to wear that day. It wasn't on sign. And the rest of the day, they would, destroy the nursing home. Can't put them on the street. What do you think the insurance company? Being bad boys, right? Until one day, Sam wakes up a little later than usual and doesn't see that, you feel like wake up later, Nady? Nady? Was there last night, gets up, bed, feels nothing in the bed, and now he's worried, He calls the nursing station, nurse! What happened? Where's Nady? She comes in, sorry, it was Mr. Cohen. Sorry, Mr. Cohen. Last night, middle of the night, Nady had a heart attack. And we took him out of the room here. We took him to whatever the other room is, ICU. And he passed away about half an hour ago. I'm really, really sorry. Let me tell you, it's breaking the time I'm really sorry. He says, when's the funeral? I have to go to the funeral. I have to go to the funeral, tell the family. You're so cool, you're so close. She says, I think they say the funeral's later today, in the afternoon sometime today. He says, fine. He says, do me a favor, just look outside and tell me what the temperature is, I know what to wear. And she says, look outside where? She says, the window over here. She says, there's no window here. Says, what do you mean? She says, there's no window. She says, walks over, he feels it, the wall. No window here. Oh. Yep. There's no window. There's no window. She says, I can't believe it. She says, I have to tell the family. So he goes to the funeral. He says, I want to tell you, who's the funeral for a guy in his 90s who didn't have much money? There's 10 people there. His kids are there, right? His spouse is there. A couple grandkids making in. Okay, 20 people. I said, yeah, that's it. And he says, I want you to know what your father did for me. And, he changed my whole perspective. I was a crotchety old man. I was a grump. He made this wall, this vivid. So there was nothing there. I felt there was nothing there.